I want to just repeat the fact that you may have all heard that Anthropic has dropped in Claude Code a few days ago. Very powerful, really powerful. Some instructions here on how to get started using it, which is what I did. I basically ran this command to start up Claude Code on my terminal, which you will see shortly. You can do a lot of things using it. Its capabilities are quite wide ranging, as you can read here, right? From linting to documentation browsing, web search, name it. And what has further happened is at Agentics Foundation. Well, before I go there, I just wanted to also show you the way you access this is pricing for this is pretty simple as well. So Cloud Code Terminal, if I search that, I shall go to here, and I think it's here then. So if you scroll down here, no, the pricing was here, and it's pretty good because it's $20 to $100 to $200. You get unlimited use of Sonnet 4 and or Opus as well from Anthropic, some of the most powerful models. I think I just should search for pricing. So effectively, there you go. It's very, very cost effective and very powerful technology that you get access to it. But what has also happened is at Agentics Foundation, Roof, who you see here, has extended the already extensive capabilities of Claude Code to a different level of automation, right? And that has been done by integrating the SPARC methodology that we have all got to know so well: specifications, pseudocode, architecture, refinement, completion, effectively the best of software engineering practices and principles that have evolved over the last 40, 50 years, made available to you through AI into Claude Code, right? So it is very straightforward to run as well. The command for that is npx Cloudflow latest init //spark. And it basically installs it, and you can use the best of it within Claude Code. So this is what I want to mention. And now I'm going to show you like how I have been able to set myself up into Claude Code and get started with the basics of Claude Code. And progressively, I'll also show probably creating an application using it, and then creating an application using Cloudflow Spark as well. So that's for now. See you shortly on the other part of the video. Hi there, this is me trying to show how I am transitioning to using Claude from my cursor and code usage. So Ru is here. Generally, when we use in VS Studio, I guess one of the modern IDEs like Ru Code or Klein, we would have to specify the provider and the API key and choose the model. That's how we do. That's the case with Ru Code as well, where you have got the configuration profile and then the provider and the API key. It's slightly different with Claude. The first step here, and I realize I'm not sharing that screen, so I shall do that shortly, but let me just fast forward to show. If you go to Anthropic's website, it says run this command to get started. Once you have installed that, when you have a plan like a pro plan, so I pay around £17 per month, or you can for the max plan, which is like £74 per month, you just say Claude, right? When you say Claude, you effectively start up. So if I were to say start from the beginning, I guess if I control C again, I'm exiting and I'm doing Claude. Oops. Okay, bear with me for a second, bear with me. It stopped. I had my keyboard on, so I'm gonna just get rid of it and then kind of say Claude. It just connects. So I've basically already set up OAuth token, because of which I'm already connected to Anthropic and I have access to my program. So when I say Claude, it says welcome to Claude Code, and I say, are you connected? It'll say, yes, I'm connected. Right? It says, how many tokens are being downloaded? It said, yes, I'm connected. Okay. So I say, now because I'm transitioning from to Claude Code, it's slightly different, as I understand, from how the other IDs like Klein and Ru Code are, because there you basically have a chat, you configure the API profile, and you work. Now I say, I am transitioning from other IDEs like Klein and Ru Code and want to, get familiar with using Claude Code in terminal. Guide me through this. Guide me in the transition. Maybe we create a simple program together. Let's also add a fancy front end into it. Yeah, and I say that. If you would notice, and I'm doing this live with you, right? Because I'm personally at the moment even transitioning, because I've not used Claude Code before, so I'm basically a newbie as far as in terms of using Claude Code. So here it says, okay, it's given me some ideas, which is excellent. Okay, it's already exploring what is there in my current folder. Build some fancy front end. Okay, so it's doing a lot of things. It's searching what is there on my bed here. It's done the exploration. started creating here. As you can see, it started creating stuff on its own. So it says, let's create a project structure. I'll create by creating a package.json file. So I selected node, obviously, as the setup. So I said, do you want to make this change in package? I say, yeah, I would like to go with that. So I pressed 1 just now. Yeah. And let's see what it does. It's making some directory. Do you want to proceed? Yeah. I pressed enter this time. On the right hand side here, you see the director structure has been created here. You can see that public folder created. The other folders that you saw, Roo, is Roo and coordination. I think this is basically a framework for Cloud Code, but using the SPARC methodology, which is specification, pseudocode, architecture, refinement, and completion. This is Roo's, so Ruben Cohen's SPARC framework. So I will probably try and use that later on, but currently I'm just starting with bare basics, which is Claude only. Now it says, do you install a project dependencies? Yes. And don't ask for npm install command. Well, let's just, sorry. I just need to click here and say yes. All right, there we go. Now let's create our backend server. This will demonstrate how Cloud Code can handle file creation. Okay, that's good. In fact, since I don't need it anymore, I'm just going to hide it. Okay, open changes. Okay, I'm just going to say yes and don't ask for this session again. Okay, done 3 of the tasks. It's going to create a beautiful front end. It'll create an HTML file with modern styling. And at any point in time, you can obviously, if you're a bit familiar, you can go in there and look at what it has created. So these are the node modules, obviously. Package.json file, server.js. That's the index.html file that it has created. It seems to be talking about, it's a to-do app that is creating what needs to be done. Okay, done, total, pending, some kind, it's basically a to-do list. That's what it's doing. It's creating a CSS. So if you look at the CSS, that's the CSS file. It's given itself, general setup, some color choices here. What's the danger, what's warning, primary color, secondary color. So you can put your branding guidelines in here. What will be there in the body. So this is for the root. So paste root, then the body, and then any containers within the body. If you put a header and a title. Sparkle, some animation looks like, okay, keyframes. I'm not very sure what keyframes are. Subtitle, to-do container. So different elements of the front end is what it's giving some styling. Okay, so it's done that. Now it's going to test the complete. That's what it's doing. So it says, do you want to start? And I said, right, just carry on. That's what I'm saying to her. Just carry on. There's an error when it was testing. Okay, it's trying to load it up now. Okay, let's just do that. Failed to connect to port 3000. Okay, why? Let's figure out. Now it's trying to do something else. Still, it's failed to connect to local port. This much could not connect to server. Let's try that. Here you go. It seems to have completed it. So I'll have to share the proper screen with you for you to view this. So I'm going to stop. So there you see, it's obviously created a nice front end for me. What needs to be done, I need to say is prepare for the hackathon using Spark and Cloud Code, or prepare material for the workshop, for the hackathon and workshop for next week, for this week actually. Now today's Sunday. So if I have to do that, you see, I got it. And I can say one more thing. Get started with Claude Code. I do that and I've completed it, obviously. That's done. So 1 done, 3 pending. I will build some apps. Get started. Yeah, I did get started. That's also done. So there you see how simple it has become to create using this. So thanks for this. So there we are. So I'm going to just copy paste. Always, in my view, the right practice to run this command once from your base folder. This is to make sure that the latest version of Cloudflow is installed on your terminal. So as you can see, it is installing now. I had already installed it before, but since I'm myself getting attuned to using Cloudflow, I am going to rerun the command. So it initializes if and updates if anything else needs to be done. So it says you already have that, so why don't you force it? So I'm going to do that actually. So I'm going to say force bit there. So it's going to recreate the structure, rewrite everything. And as you can see now, it has in fact installed it. Right? Now, I might want to get started. So I would be wondering, there must be a help command here somewhere. So next steps, review and customize generated files for the projects. So if I look at the project, I would have, these would be my agents. I have a README file. It explains to me that this stores agent specific memory data. There is a structure of agents, how they get their own space, etc. Common knowledge. I haven't even gone through the details of it. I'm having a very cursory look here. There is a file called claude.nd as well. This is Cloudflow. So it is running some commands here. Looks like the project directory is the basis of those commands. If I look at Claude, this is the Claude.md that is from the SPARC methodology. So it informs that Claude should follow the SPARC methodology. These are the core commands that it talks about. TDD, which is test-driven development. Then it talks about standard build commands. It informs the LLM this is what you need to do, how to write specifications, how to write pseudocode, how to perform the architecture, how to do refinements, how to go about completion phase. Talks about the different modes that are available to Claude, architect, and all of that stuff. Debug talks about various things. I'm going to go into the details. You see a lot of things there. What I'm really looking for is a README file that will tell me how to get started with Cloudflow. That I am presuming must be somewhere reasonably easy to find. So let's see. Or otherwise it'll be in the public documentation on NPX. But I'm not going to bother too much with it. I'm just going to say I'm supposed to run this command here to begin the orchestration system. That's what it says. I'm just going to follow the instructions. So it says run this instead of npx Cloudflow for all commands. Well, let me just follow what it's asking me to do. Cloudflow start. If I do that, something has started, and this talks to me about, informs me there's some new software available. There is a 3 port. This port is meant to be, but I'm already using that port. Okay, so what I'm going to do is stop Claude. I'm going to ask this is I'm going back to general Claude, and I'm saying stop the process that is currently running on port 3000, right? Because I have a to-do app that I had created a little bit ago that was running on port 3000. So I just want to stop that. So I don't have any conflict with my Cloudflow. Now that I've stopped it, I don't have a conflict. So I'm going to go back and start Cloudflow again. So this is good. The system is actually running, right? The system is running. Now, before this, it had also told me that, okay, now I've got a few actions available. It says open another terminal and spawn a researcher, right? So I'm going to go here and say Cloudflow agent spawn research. Well, it says Cloudflow cannot be found. That's interesting. That's the command I need to run. Well, no, not really. These are not the commands. These are the MD files. These are all the MD files. Let me try this, and it works. Dot slash. It needs a dot slash. So it has spawned a researcher now. An agent would be created with the following configurations. Type is researcher. That's the agent name. Its capabilities of research, analyze, and code generation. Status is ready. Okay, perfect. Now what? You need to ask something. Cloudflow task, create your task. Let's try that first. Create a game. Research. Okay. Research. I'm going to research our. Yes, I know what to research. This is an interesting research I learned from a gentleman who lives in our village. There's a farm, and he mentioned that the first mulberry tree that was planted in the UK is in the village that is next door. It's called Mepham Green. It's at Mepham Green. I want to do some research on that. Who was the person? So I'm just searching here. Yeah, basically John Tredescan the Younger. So I'm going to go and say create research on John Tredescan the Younger, who is believed to have planted 4 mulberry trees. Is believed to have planted 4 mulberry trees at Mepham Green in Kent, UK. Let's see what it comes back with. So what has happened is that a researcher has started, and the status of the research is queued. Okay, so I expect to see a research folder appearing here shortly. So the key is queued. Okay, do I have to start the research? I'm thinking, let me try to run a monitor command to see what's going on. When I run this, it says to me, it is creating research on this topic, on this task, on John Tredescan the Younger, who's believed to have planted this. Okay, if I monitor that, oh no, this is different. This is just monitoring the system resources, like my CPU is 78%, how much memory I'm using, my orchestrator is running, and then it's talking about, seems like I've got MCP connections on here at the moment. Okay. Okay, so I've just issued the help command, as you can see, Cloudflow help, and it tells me that usage is as follows. This is how you install it. Then this Spark flag creates the rumors, the Claude.md for project instructions, and ready to use TDD for code generation environment. The key commands are init, start, spawn, agent spawn, Spark, subcommands based on development modes, memory, and status. The command category seems to be core, agents, develop, which is Spark, memory, workflow, infrastructure, and enterprise. Quick start is that. but I've done the research, so I need to know about when the research, what is happening with the research is what I'm trying to figure out. Let me ask Claude. Actually, how do I find whether research that I have initiated using Cloudflow is complete? Cloudflow is method is add-on for Claude code that has been created by Agentics Foundation, and the documentation is available at. Okay, let's see if Claude knows. Okay, seems like something has gone wrong because the orchestrator. Okay, but then I do have an orchestrator running. So let me ask Claude again. But in the other terminal, I can see that the orchestrator is still. In fact, I'm going to do one thing. Use Cloudflow to reset on Jordan to Discord. Basically, that's what. And then create an with a front end to walk a new person through gamified experience on what his achievements were. Let's see what it does. This will be interesting if it works, because what this would have done is that it would have used it will use Claude code, basic Claude code, and then invoke Cloudflow, which is the SPARC methodology, and use all the guidance that we have left here on how to research, specific or create specifications, do test-driven developments, etc., and proceed. So here it's asking me for some information. So I don't ask again. I just want you to complete it all. If I want this to be automated, right? Completely automated. So as you can see here, it's spawning a researcher, Tradesk research. It is then doing a variety of other things, which is, okay, it's checking for the task status and start the research process. Okay, so it's doing that. Let us run it. So what is it saying? Well, yeah, I want it to run. So it's done the research. It's stored the research as well. Where has it stored? Let's look. If we can't find it, I'm going to just ask it, where have you stored the research? I'm presuming it will be in the memory somewhere. So, I mean, I pretty much know if I read the README. I'm just too lazy to read the README at this moment. So I'm just trying to figure out where it is without reading too much. It's gone about and read it in the index.html. Okay, that's okay. I can understand. Let me ask something else to Claude. Say in Cloudflow, how and where coordinated, and where is the progress stored? How the various activity with the Spark managed? Help me understand this. So as you can see, I'm being able to do a number of things in different terminals. So this is still building the gamified app. The orchestrator is running here, which is kind of, think of it as a project manager. And then here I'm asking questions about, how is this happening? Tell me, right? I'm just asking the system to tell me what it is actually doing. It starts by looking at a project structure. So there it is. I can see a lot of information here. It says that in.ru, it founds a lot of things. So these are the rules, obviously. Then it's searching across memory, and it's read the file called Cloudflow under Claude Code demo. So there must be a file called Cloudflow here, which is this. And when it does that, through that, it looks at the room modes, where there is a room file, the room modes are defined, which I understand. Then it is going into, okay, this is all the description of the different modes. This I know what it is. Then it is reading a file. This is what is catching my eye. Memory store.json, which is under memory, Cloud Code memory store.json. So it's kind of figured out that I have an agent, and I had wanted this agent to do something. So it's keeping a tab of that agent effectively, and that's what this is doing. And then it's searching through all the folders. It hasn't really found anything else at the moment. Based on analysis, Cloud Code's interrupt doesn't manage Spark through the multi-agent architecture. Each Spark phase runs as a specialized agent. Tasks are delegated via new task commands with specific mode assignments. An orchestrator coordinates the overall flow between the phases. The progress is stored in the Cloudflow data.json file, which is this one. So the one information here in the memory store in the agents folder. So far, I don't see much actually. I don't even see much sessions here. It's in the README file. State management between phases is through namespace memory, persistent context, file-based handoffs, completion protocols. This is as I expected it to work. Okay, but what I can't see is what is happening in the world is, okay, something that's created here actually. Let's look what it has created. The site can't be reached. Okay, I get an error. The party server wasn't on. It will start the server. Okay, it seems to have worked. So let me show you who has created the game, the Tradesk Trail. Welcome to the Tredescan Trail, it says. It says, embark on a journey to discover the incredible achievements of John Tredescan the Younger, the 17th century botanist who brought the wonders of America to England. Explore his Virginia expeditions. I had full disclosures. I don't know much about John Tredescan apart from my at the farm telling me that John Tredescan brought 4 mulberry trees to the village next to where I live, and one of them is still there. So that's what I'm exploring. So I now learned that he seems to have come from, brought the wonders of America to England, discovered the plants he introduced, learned about his royal connections, and uncover his museum legacy. If I begin and it works when I click on it, early life in Kent. John Tredescan the Younger was born in 1608 in Map. His father, John Tredescan the Elder, was already establishing himself as a renowned botanist and gardener. He was surrounded by exotic plants and rare specimens, and the gentle young John developed a passion for the natural world, shaped his entire life. So, where was John Tredescan the Younger born? I would say Mepham, because I just live next to it. Hey, I got 100 points. Continue. Education and early training. John was educated at the King's School in Canterbury, one of the oldest schools in the world. Here he learned Latin, which would prove invaluable for botanical nomenclature and develop the scholarly foundation that would support his later scientific work. Where did John Tredescan Younger receive his education? Where it says that Canterbury, Canterbury, Canterbury. There we go. So I got another point. Virginia expeditions. Between 1628 and 37, John made several perilous voyages to Virginia, the New World colony. These expeditions were dangerous. Atlantic crossings took months, and Virginia colony is still struggling to establish itself. John was given a promise of new botanical treasures. How many did he do? At least 2, possibly 3, right? Okay. American plant discoveries. John revolutionized English gardens. He brought back magnificent trees like the tulip tree, the majestic ball cypress, and the stunning magnolias. I have one of those in my front garden, by the way, magnolia. He also introduced garden favorites like phlox, asters, and Virginia creepers that still adorns buildings today. It's quite interesting because in our village, it's so sweet. There are loads of magnolias all over the place. And this is a plant that really grows well here, actually. So interesting. Probably John Tredescott who actually brought the magnolias to in my village. Which plants did John Tredescan not introduce from the Americans? Maybe rose, of course. Continue. Royal gardener. When his father died in 1638, John inherited one of the most prestigious positions in England, royal gardener to King Charles I and Queen Henrietta Maria. He created spectacular gardens at Oatlands Palace and Queen's House in Greenwich, designed by the famous architect Inigo Jones. John became royal gardener to King Charles and Queen Henrietta Maria. Hey, I've been winning. The Mepham mulberries. This is what brought me to designing this gamified experience. He planted 4 mulberry trees at Mepham Green in his birthplace of Kent. These trees were likely connected to King James I's failed attempt to establish a silk industry in England. We were exactly discussing about silk because a gentleman I met at the farm, Ken, he spent time in South Africa and he was a botanist. He was showing me some, I think it was elderberry trees that he had crossed between what he called 2 other grandfather trees that he showed me were around his garden. And then I got to know about, and I mentioned to him if my father was a botanist, and we talked about silk, and that silk led to his mentioning about John Tredescan, who obviously lives in the village, or lived in the village. So remarkably, one of the trees still survives at more than 350 years, a living link to John's legacy. Did he plant 4 trees? So I get that. Now, the museum legacy. John expanded his father's famous collections of curiosities, adding American treasures like Chief Powhatan's ceremonial cloak. He published the first museum catalogue in English, Museum Tredescantianum. Though controversially acquired by Elias Ashmole, this collection became the foundation of Oxford's Ashmolean Museum, making John a founding father of the modern museum. What happened to John's museum collections? It became core of the Ashmolean Museum. Hey, there we go. Congratulations. Share result. Of course, it's a little work because I haven't created that, but this is amazing. So what did we do today? Let me summarize. We did today, we first installed Claude on our terminal, which I showed you at the beginning. Then we installed Cloudflow, which is developed by Agentics Foundation as add-on to Claude to bring into it a very structured guardrail of developing an idea to research and then creating specifications, architecting a solution, doing test-driven development approaches, and finally creating the product. Because I was struggling to understand the intricacies of Cloudflow, then I used Claude to run Cloudflow and create a gamified experience around Trediscan, right, who lived in the village next to mine and was instrumental in bringing a lot of exotic plants to Britain and creating a legacy that even stays around today. So that is what we did today. So thank you for listening. Hope you liked it. So again, I showed how easy it is to move from IDs like Rue and Klein and adopt Claude Code. I believe I'm going to use much more of Claude and Cloudflow now. Claude Code and Cloudflow now. So that's about it for now. Thank you.